they are seeing new crime, like these sexual assaults and rapes, from bringing in refugees. Take, for instance, the music festival. So we are officially not in Sweden anymore, and I'm kind of glad because here's what I'll say first. I kind of don't like Sweden, okay? It's a nice place, it's comfortable, for the most part it's safe, but it's socially uncomfortable. I didn't like it. But before I get to that, here's the big question. Was Donald Trump right about Sweden? And the answer, technically yes, right? So moving beyond the last night in Sweden gaffe where nothing actually happened the previous night in Sweden when he said it, Donald Trump said that Sweden brought in tons of people and they're seeing problems they never thought possible, okay? Let me just say this, that's relatively vague. He didn't specifically say that there was a substantial increase in crime or anything like that. He was saying they're seeing problems they never thought possible, and I gotta say, they certainly are. Now, before I explain all this, I'll just say the right, the conservatives, they're partly correct, but the left is also partly correct. The extreme groups of both factions got it wrong. It is not an embattled war zone with crime rampant in the streets and all hell breaking loose, but it is also not some beautiful rainbow utopia where no crime exists at all. The truth is closer to the middle, and the reality is, in the past few years, crime has gone up. Sexual assault has gone up, rape has gone up, violent crimes significantly increased, lots more murders. In Stockholm, there's car fires all the time, right? And Sweden's a small country. There were 34 grenade attacks last year. So they're certainly seeing problems that they didn't expect. And to go directly into Donald Trump's quote about seeing problems they never thought possible, well, as we're told by a former police officer, there is a new phenomenon in Sweden where young men surround young girls and sexually abuse them. That's a new phenomenon, and I would say that that classifies as a problem that Sweden didn't think possible. The problem Sweden is facing, migrant crime, car fires, etc., like I just mentioned, it's not entirely refugees. For the most part, it's not the refugees. It's actually first and second generation migrants, the children of immigrants from a long time ago. Sweden did a relatively bad job, in my opinion, of helping migrants and refugees integrate in the past. This created pockets, these segregated communities, where it was difficult for people to integrate into the larger Swedish society. There's this law that allows refugees to simply provide an address and they can go stay wherever they want. So most of these refugees have gone to Södertälje, at least up until 2015, because they know people there. They were told to come there. What ends up happening is they're surrounded by people of a culture they're already a part of, so there's less incentive for them to integrate into the greater culture. This results in people who can't speak the language or who are not fluent in the language, high unemployment, which leads to a lot of poverty, and then when they have kids, these kids don't have a Swedish cultural identity, but they don't have the cultural identity from their parents, so they're kind of in limbo. What are they going to do? So they can't find jobs, they're unemployed, they join gangs, they commit crimes. And that's the bulk of what we've seen in Sweden when it comes to crime. The car fires, the drug dealing, the murders, the grenade attacks. It's gangs that are committing these crimes, kids who have lived there for a long time or who were born in Sweden and they can't find work, and this is what they do. There's grenade attacks, there's shootings, there's drug dealing, but it's not coming from the refugees. That being said, they are seeing new crime, like these sexual assaults and rapes, from bringing in refugees. Take, for instance, the music festival a few years ago. This is a real thing, it happened. They're seeing these incidents at pools where young men surround women and abuse them. These are real things that are happening. And Sweden has a cultural problem that makes it very difficult for them to talk about this. Now, if you were to ask me, Tim, why do you think that is? What's wrong with the culture? I would say, first of all, It's very difficult for Swedish people to talk about this because they're scared of being ostracized or being called racist. You've seen this in my early reporting. I can't tell you how many messages I've received from people that flat out say some horrific atrocity, but then they say, please don't tell anyone I told you this, please don't use my name, please don't quote me, and that's not very helpful. In fact, we had to blur the identity of a psychologist, which is just profoundly strange to me. When it comes to dealing with these issues, the people in Sweden tend to argue semantics, the meaning of words. And this is something that was told to us by one of the people we've interviewed, but we actually experienced it ourselves. In fact, the term no-go zone, right? In reality, this means an area in a conflict with war where people can't go or certain governments can't go. And because of an op-ed column, many people have started to refer to these problem areas as no-go zones. But instead of discussing high crime areas, many people in Sweden simply said to me, oh, why are you saying no-go zone? Whoa, no, those no-go zones don't exist. This is arguing the definition or the meaning of the phrase instead of arguing what's actually going on. See, people use the phrase no-go zone as a colloquial term to reference problem areas. These are places the police have deemed to be more problematic than others. But instead of talking about these areas, someone will simply say, no-go zones don't exist, which is wrong, okay? Now, if you were to ask me, could you trust the media in Sweden? Personally, I'm going to tell you flat out no. And I'm going to back it up. See, I did an interview with Swedish state television, and they asked me about what was going on. I said that right-wing Trump supporter Paul Joseph Watson contributed to my campaign. In the subtitles, the translations, they referred to him as a right-wing extremist, something I did not say. I appeared in a show called Opinion Live where they asked me about what happened in the suburb of Rinkeby. When I explained to them the police statement was incorrect, instead of translating what I said into Swedish, the host simply said that the police have disputed what I was claiming. And to get a little bit specific on the whole Rinkeby situation, a police spokesperson said that I pulled out a camera and started filming a bunch of young people when, no, Emily's the one who films. She then said that I followed a police vehicle out of Rinkeby. No, you can see in my video the police followed me. And before the police van even started moving, I called it an escort. But the media keeps towing the line of the government and the police, even though all you have to do is watch my video and say the police did not give a correct assessment of what happened. My video corroborates my story. So again, if you were to ask me, I would say the media has been very dishonest. But this is backed up in one of my interviews, because we talked with someone who worked with Swedish state television who told us that the media feels they have some kind of moral obligation. Oftentimes, they don't report the ethnicity or national origin of criminals out of fear that will drive racism. What does that do? Well, it makes people feel like they're being lied to, it drives them to alternative media websites, and it helps bolster the far right-wing party because people feel like they can't trust the establishment. Most of the people we met were so terrified of being ostracized that they stay within what's called the opinion corridor. And this makes it feel like they're holding back or they're even lying to you sometimes when you're talking to them. Someone told us that they once posted pro-Trump comments to Facebook, and then they got a call from their employer saying they could lose their job unless they removed them. And they chose to remove them. This is so problematic that Sweden hasn't done a study correlating national origin with crime since 2005, and recently their parliament shot down the proposal to do such a study. Now you've got people speculating. Is this crime related to refugees and migrants? We don't know, but everyone is assuming it is because the previous study said that migrants were overrepresented in crime. There was even a story we heard where someone committed a crime and the media organizations pixelated his photo. He was dark-skinned, so they changed the color of the pixels to be white because they're scared of people becoming racist. All of this is just making more people feel distrustful of the establishment. It is making the far-right party, the Sweden Democrats, grow every single year. And I've received many messages from people saying they believe that they're going to keep gaining power. So to sum it up, is Sweden seeing problems it never thought possible? Well, I don't know what Sweden is thinking. I can say from my point of view, most people wouldn't expect to see young men surrounding children, boys and girls, and sexually abusing them, but these crimes are happening. It is a small amount of people who are doing these atrocities, and most of the refugees, they seem to be doing all right, and they're trying. It's unfortunate that the media has lied about what's happening to the point where no one trusts them anymore. And now people are just assuming that all the refugees are bad, all the migrants are bad, when in reality, there is really bad crime, there is gang activity, and you need to be honest about it, but it is not every single migrant or refugee that's committing it. So, again, I think everyone got this one a little bit wrong and a little bit right. The truth is closer to the middle. We still have many more interviews from Sweden that we may put out soon. It's just an issue of translation for the most part. So, that being said, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, make sure to click the like button, share the video, but more importantly, comment below and let me know what you think. Send any tips or ideas that you think we should go and cover, any stories you think that need to be covered, and I will do my best to follow up with all of you. And also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Timcast. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow.